Hello, beloved friends. Welcome back to the Courage Within podcast with your host, Libbier. I am so excited. In today's podcast, we're going to be interviewing Deirdre Hawkins, my second guest. I am so happy to have Deirdre here. She is an owner and operator of Hawkins Dance Studio in Folsom, and she has touched the lives of so many people. Some people that I know dearly and have come here and grown up taking ballet lessons here. And I have always wanted to pick Deirdre's brain of, hey, how did you start the idea of becoming an entrepreneur, and what has it taken to become one of the most beloved dance studios in California? So excited to see and peek back into her wisdom and figure out, some tips that we can get, because I know that it takes courage to become an entrepreneur. And it's one of those things when I was a little girl, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know what it would require to do so. And then, people had businesses and I would be like, oh, okay, we will just open businesses. As I began my own journey into entrepreneurship, I realized how difficult it can be and how much courage you do have to have in order to step forward in faith and open up a business, and not even just open up, but sustain a business that works. So Deirdre, welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy that you're here.
Well, you talked about, I'm happy to be here too, but you just said something about the wisdom and know that to launch your own business, but actually that's exactly what I didn't have. I threw myself into it without a business plan or anything. So It's been a very interesting journey because of not planning. But just trusting that you're doing what you should be doing and taking everything a step at a time, a brick at a time. Yeah. And then learning from that. But I do advise, if you're going to start a business, have a business plan. Know what you're getting into.
Your advice is to have one.
Just jump in the deep end and swim back is what I usually do, which I'm trying to learn that lesson. I do that. I tend to jump in the deep end and I just figure out a way to swim to shore.
Yes.
But it seems to work.
Yes. Well, since you said that, I am curious. Can you take us through a little bit of what it looked like for you at the very beginning of opening up the studio? What were you thinking? What was it like? And what was the urge to want to open up?
Well, I'd wanted a dance studio for many years, but then just when I graduated from college and I had my degree, what was I going to do with it? I had a master's degree in education with a dance emphasis. And I really didn't want to teach at the college level, which is what you do with a master's degree. Though I wanted to start a dance studio, but then I had to pay off my college bills, a lot of things. So I worked as a secretary for a construction corporation. And life begins to happen, and I was getting more and more comfortable with that life. But then I knew that was always that voice in the back of my mind, start a dance studio. And what frightened me was that the voice started getting softer and softer. And then I thought, okay, my son's father and I broke up, and I had this kind of opportunity to find a new path in life. And so I said, actually, I came up to this area expecting to go into the construction business again, and I got hired. And then as soon as I was told I was hired, that's when I told the man on the phone, I can't do it after all. After I'd gone to look like a secretary, everyone said this is a new path, and I thought, I can't do it, because if I accept this job here in this area, that will be my path for the rest of my life. And that dream of owning a dance studio, the voice will go away. And so I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to have to do it now, which is what I did. So I just pulled the plug and I started to look for a building. And I said, I'm just going to do it. That's what I mean, that I had no plans. I just did it.
Okay.
Because I answered a voice that was calling me.
But I hear that you said that you had a calling. You
absolutely.
Felt like there was something that but you just didn't know how to do it. Is that what I'm hearing? You say?
And getting comfortable with the life that you had, and just knowing, again, if the audience out there has a voice that's telling them that they should be doing something, because I think you're being guided.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. That's so courageous that you went ahead and you left a life that probably felt safer, right? In some ways, it was
a steady job. I had a small son, 3-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So it was scary, but
yes. That took a lot of courage. I'm so grateful that you did that, because now I know so many people that have been blessed by your courage.
Thank you.
As a little girl, can you just give us what was your first encounter with dance, and how did that impact you to love dance?
It was seeing my first ballet, Sleeping Beauty, San Francisco War Memorial Opera House. I'm not sure if it was San Francisco Ballet or a touring company, but I saw that and I fell in love with ballet from then on, like so many little girls do.
Yeah. So seeing the ballet was the first insight of, hey, I kind of want to dance and do this as it. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Like, what was your first dance lessons? Like, where did you learn? How did you, what was your favorite type of dance when you started dancing?
It's always been ballet. It's always been, though, when I was in college, I loved contemporary too. And, but I told my mom after seeing Sleeping Beauty that I wanted to take ballet lessons. And so she signed me up for William Hay in Concord, California. And I took from him from 7 to 10 or 11 years old. Then my mother got a divorce, and so she had to go to work, and there was no transportation. So I really had to quit ballet, but I loved it. So when I went back when I was 14, my brother started driving me to class, as I begged him to, and good brother. And he started taking me to ballet while my mom worked, and I worked very, very hard from 14 to 17, and I took a bus to San Francisco Ballet School on weekends, and then in summer I would devote myself to summers there. But I actually ended up wanting to be a high school English teacher because I love to read too. So my path after high school was to pursue English degree, and then when I enrolled in college, I found that I was told by a history of the dance class to see I had to review a ballet or a contemporary company, and I saw the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater and at Zellerbach Auditorium in Berkeley, and I'd never seen contemporary dance, and it was so beautiful and moving to me. Judith Jameson and walking in the water, it was just like waiting, I'm not sure, Judith Jameson walking out with that umbrella, that did it. And so I changed my major to dance.
You're like, that's it, I'm going to dance.
And I did, so I changed my major and just pursued it. Shaw Anderson Modern Dance Company in Berkeley, and I was a member of their first company, which I'm very honored to say, because Frank Shaw and Victor Anderson were so important to my life.
Yes.
And to be a part of their first ballet company. They're both passed now, or their first contemporary company. They've both gone on now, so it's just sad to me, but they're very influential in my life.
Yes, isn't that the thing is, when we do life, even in the ordinary moments, we touch others people's lives, right? They can impact you in a very big way.
Oh, absolutely.
And then that sends ripple effects to others, right? Which is the coolest thing I think about when somebody is saying yes to the call of their heart like you did, like open a dance studio. That, for them, I'm sure it was the same. They might have been scared to teach as well, but then they said yes to that call, and then it impacted you, and now it's impacting others.
Yeah, I know a lot of people aren't able to actually follow their dreams. It's difficult. For whatever financial reasons or whatever, they just can't do it. But if you have a window of opportunity to do it, I would say plunge.
Yes.
Jump.
That leads me to my next question. I'm wondering if you have 2 hard lessons that you learned in business that in the moment were really hard, but in hindsight gave you a lot of wisdom for your business.
I think the answer to that would be to expect the unexpected, because things have just come at me through left field that I never would have expected. But to know that, and that happens to everyone in life, but to know that you will get through it, to just have the faith, get through it, and learn something. You'll learn something from everything that happens. But it's just, 35 years I've been doing this now, and there's things that have happened that I never would have believed. Right. Good and difficult things. Yeah. They you have to roll with the punches, you really do. And just keep the faith and move on and try to do the best you can.
Yeah. So just be partners with the fact that you're going to go through some challenges and not know when someone's going to sideswipe you or life will.
And also so many families here, it really is a lesson that everybody's going through something. There's so many lives that are so much more difficult than mine. And I hear stories in my families, sometimes the reason why they have to quit dance or whatever. And I know that all teachers have such an emotional impact on children that I always have to remind myself of that, but we are our parents and our teachers the most important influence in our lives. So I have to be a good teacher.
Yeah, and you're so dear. Well, I took class from you, and I just felt I felt like a little kid, even though I was, I think, 37 at the time when I took your class.
Never too old.
No, you're never too old to do something. Well, as you're talking about teaching, what would be something that you would love all your students to know about themselves?
Just to always have the courage to keep working and trying, and that they often think that if I can't do it right, I'll never be able to do it right. And not true.
Mm-hmm.
Dance training is training.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen dancers whose their coordination just isn't strong at all, but if they work hard at it, it can be trained, just like a voice can be trained.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the persistence, it's the repetition. Ballet is so repetitive, and they have to have patience with themselves,
Mm-hmm.
that you can't just transform your body into a ballet dancer. It takes training. You can't speak French 4 until you've had French 1.
Yes.
And sometimes they want to do it too quickly, but it's a slow process.
Mm-hmm.
Training your body is such a slow process.
Yeah.
But it takes diligence. So be patient with yourself and keep training.
That is great. And that doesn't just apply to ballet, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's such a good lesson to even learn for other parts of life.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have something called a fixed mindset, which I thought and believed that people just were born with talent. And, you know, I was jealous and envious of other people's talents and thought, oh, well, God missed me. Right? Just like I wasn't born with it. I'm not good at it. And now that I'm an adult and have a different mindset, thank God, I am more of putting myself out there so that I can grow. Now I understand and know that anyone who's good at anything, it's just because they've put time and effort, and it's been little bits daily. So yeah, what you're saying is such a good lesson. And if your students were like that, it would be less of, you know, I'm being hard on myself for not being able to do this right away, but just having that patience and that endurance to
patience and endurance
for the journey, right?
It is. It's a
for
long
the journey.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you. How do you cope and handle disgruntled customers and disappointments with like clients and people that you deal with on a day-to-day basis as a business?
I always try to think that everybody's going through something. If they were to come to me with a complaint, there's a reason behind it.
Right.
So we have to get into the reason of the concern.
Yeah.
And peel it apart like an onion, peeling an onion, and get to the bottom of it. Yeah. And address that.
So would you say that you're quite comfortable with confrontation? Not in like confrontation, but being able to be uncomfortable?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, because I know that there's a reason. It's hard. Yeah.
So yes, I thank you for that answer, because I think a lot of us tend to think that, oh, we want to open a business, but we don't really think about all of the emotional stuff that's going to come with it. Clients, customers, everybody has an opinion, you know, figuring out how to be a good solver of things, right? Because when you're in business, you are confronted by other people, and like you said, people are going through hard stuff sometimes, and it's not just about the issue, you know, like you do have to be present for them. And if you've been in business for this long, I sure know that it's been because you've been willing to listen to your clients, because you come here and there's like so many people that are in the studio. There's such great energy here, and I think it's because of you, and that trickles down. And like you said, you have a great team, and you surround yourself with that, and you could feel that you care about excellence, and I really enjoy that aspect. Yeah. How do you deal with failures when you in your business? What do you have something that you do? Is there a habit that you instill within your business, or just can you walk us through what that looks like?
As far as failure, that's a good question. I don't really think that there's anything specifically that I failed at. I think there's things I need to do better, but failed is such a final answer. It's always a process, so it's not like the failure is a dead end, it seems like right there. So I think the difficulty is to try to examine everything and to know what led up to a certain situation that might lead toward failure, and try to avoid that as much as you can. And again, the adage, be prepared for the unexpected. So, but you can't prepare for the unexpected because you don't know what to prepare for, but expect the unexpected. And it can happen, and things that you think are going along so well, sometimes they aren't, and things that aren't going along well just end up being a blessing. So interesting, the twist and thing, you know.
Right.
Twists. Yeah.
Yes. I do believe that everything that we experience has a good fruit, has good character building. I believe that every hardship that we go through isn't just to like make us, miserable. It really is an opportunity for growth. And that's what
Absolutely.
I mean of like, not failure as in like you're a failure or the business. No, I mean like
what can you do better?
When things go wrong, how do you respond to things when it doesn't go the way that you planned? And it seems like you kind of already touched into that with like have faith, keep going, and make sure that you know that there is unpredictability.
A teacher gave me a poster, a little card once. It said something to the effect that if you fail, it's only because of lack of imagination. So I always try to remember that if you feel like something is not going along well and that you're failing in it, that just think to let your mind imagine something and to carry out the imagination. I have a very creative staff, and sometimes they'll come up with wonderful ideas to guide a new direction. We need a new direction at the studio. I'm working on it right now to next year to try to always get better. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's one of the things that I really have enjoyed being here and is seeing how awesome your team is at marketing, and like you guys have these amazing shows. I went to watch one of the shows and it was really good. It was really well put together, and it felt like I was in San Francisco watching a show,
you.
So I feel like you guys have a really good dial on marketing and engaging your clients, and you're really, really good at like marketing yourself. Like I come in and you're like, hey, are you coming to the ballet? And I love that. I used to be so scared to dynamic of me being scared to sort of say like, hey, I have this value to offer. Are you willing to partner with me? And I see that there's courage in you to be okay to say, hey, here's our business. Like,
well, I'm proud of my dancers, and we also try to address all levels here. You're talking about the performing companies. We have very, very talented and well-trained dancers and teachers that produce wonderful shows and choreographers. But also it's just important, there's all different reasons why people dance. Some is to become a performer, and others just to move. That's why we have adult program here too, so it's good for adults who never got a chance to dance, or they were afraid to dance before. Or they, that wasn't in their lives, and they've always wondered what it was. So it's just like, it's just important to address the dance in yourself, and whatever level, whatever you want out of it. So we have a recreational program all the way up to a professional program.
Yes.
But not one is more important than the other.
Right.
It's just that the little girl who takes ballet once a week is as important to me as my company dancers, my highest level of principal ballet dancers.
Yeah.
They're all very important because it's just the importance of dance in your life.
How has owning this studio impacted your personal life?
It's made me not have one.
It's
a 24/7. Yeah, no, but it does. I have my son who is the world to me, and if I do get away, it's usually to see him perform. He's in the performing. He had no choice. He grew up at the studio, so that's what he went into. But I read a lot when I'm not here. I'm trying to read more. But how it's impacted my personal life? My business is my personal life, really. And if you do own your own business, it is your life.
Yeah.
If you really do it sincerely and earnestly.
And this is your calling, right? It's more than just
definitely.
It's more than just having a business that you just come to.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Like so many people want to retire, and I know I'm definitely of the retirement age. I'm beyond the retirement age, but I keep thinking, and a friend of mine said, what are you going to do if you're going to retire? What are you going to do all day? Paint rocks? And I'll never forget that. Like, what I need to feel like I have some purpose in life. We all have to. And if I gave up the studio, I'd be giving up my purpose. But I do need to lessen it and have more people take over. It's hard wearing the business hat and then the creative hat.
Yeah.
So there's so much to owning a business with regulations and just everything. A leaky faucet all the way up to, IRS. Everything. And so it does sap you of your creative juices, which I've noticed more and more over the years. So that's what's hard, is wearing so many hats.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. If you had to let go of something, like what don't you like about owning a business?
Yeah, the business portion of it.
Yeah, just the logistics.
But I am calling on people to do more and more, and all of the new social media is difficult, and I resist that a lot. So I have people doing my social media for me, and they ask me questions. I don't know how to answer their questions. I just, I need to call upon creative people to do things for me.
Yes. Yes.
Well, and it's in the social media world.
Yeah, and that, it's so different than when right? Even when I grew up, like I'm so grateful that I did my junior high years weren't with TikTok and Facebook and Instagram.
no.
I just deleted my accounts, my Facebook and my Instagram, because I couldn't handle the pressure of that.
I know.
It's
Kids are faced with these days. It's awful.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But as a business, you do have to think about, hey, this is a part of the business now, because so many young girls now are on those platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you had to tell me what your favorite aspect of owning your business is, what is that?
My ballet company, and the girls that aspire to it, and when I see that the love of dance grow in a young girl, usually, and boys too. We have a couple of several very talented young men.
Yes.
So it's just seeing them, the love of ballet grow in their lives that makes me fulfilled.
Yes.
Yes. And they train hard, and they see themselves changing and growing and getting better and better at what they do, and that's very gratifying.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
That's the creative aspect. And I used to love to choreograph much more than I do now, because my body doesn't move the way it used to move. And it's interesting because you can't really choreograph unless you can move.
Right.
So I'm really seeing my limitations now. So we fall back on videos of my past choreographies.
Yes.
And give them to the dancers. Say, okay, learn this, how to do it.
Yeah, I can only imagine that there has been this, like, you having to release some portions of the way that you...
It's hard. It's hard to say, I can't do that anymore.
It is. Yeah. Well, I can't say that I know exactly, but I know a little bit. I'm almost 40, and I'm in a place, you're probably like, all right.
That's right.
Great, you're 40. But I get it a little bit, and I can only imagine how... releasing some of those things is frustrating, especially because you're active. She gives me hope for life. Okay, because when I come here, she's got great posture and she's active, and you are such a gem.
You have to keep active in life. You have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's part of our mental health, right? For me as a dancer, I feel like I am at home when I dance. Dancing to me has given me life. It was a way that I connected with my dad. My dad taught me. I didn't have the opportunity to go to class, but I had my dad who taught me how to salsa every weekend at home. But, so me dancing came from just parties with my family and my dad, and just being able to move the body in a way that honors God and just like have that joy. There's nothing like it, especially if you love dance. Can you tell us, if you had to pick, like if you could dance any dances that you've ever danced before, what type of dance would you pick? Like if you couldn't do anything else ever again?
You mean like ballet, jazz, tap, what discipline? Well, my heart loves ballet, but there's something about contemporary dance that's very drawing, because there's not so many rules to apply. You don't have to have, it has to be. In ballet, it's right or it's wrong. There's no gray matter. Yeah. It's just, but contemporary also, you release your emotions more on the spot, so to speak. And a lot of the music that you dance to with contemporary dance is more emotionally fulfilling. Whereas ballet is not that emotionally fulfilling until 10 years after you've trained, and then you're so well trained you can release. But that's what I try to instill in my dancers, my ballet dancers too, is that you don't have to be perfect to be able to love it, to enjoy it. Where it's in ballet, you get very frustrated. You hate yourself a lot because you can't do something. Whereas in contemporary, there's more. It's easier to be more in touch with the emotional part of it and not the technical part of it. Yes. And that's very gratifying, particularly for teenagers too, when they're going through so much, to be able to just take an improv class. And improvisational challenges in contemporary can be so fulfilling emotionally. And that's why teenagers, I think, are drawn to it a lot. Yeah, they just let it all go. Yeah, and that's important. Yeah,
it is. It is. I have learned that I danced all growing up, but after a while, my family, I stopped seeing my family the way that I used to, so I didn't dance anymore as much. So I had to pick a different way of moving my body, and I started running. And running has become now one of my favorite ways to move my body, because I don't have the opportunity to dance every single weekend like I used to. And my dad passed away 3 years ago, so I don't have my dance partner anymore. My husband doesn't dance, so I used to, yeah, my dad was my dance partner. But I learned that by doing physical activity, we're actually releasing so much stress. And because I
Yes.
struggled with anxiety, dancing and physical activity was so important to my mental health. So I can see that that is so on key. And yeah, I think if I had to pick, modern is one of my favorite forms of dance,
Mm-hmm.
especially because I wasn't trained as a ballet
Mm-hmm.
dancer. So I would get frustrated because I couldn't do, like, if you don't have the training, like, you cannot do it. And that's why I admire ballerinas so much, because there's so much because it looks effortless, but there is a lot of effort
Oh,
behind
yes.
it. So there's a
Yes.
lot of strength.
Effort, yes.
There's a lot
Effort
of
to
strength.
make it look effortless, absolutely.
If you could go back in time
Mm-hmm.
and with all the knowledge that you've gained in your life, with your business, if you could go back in time and talk to Deirdre at 13, 14 years old, what would you give her? What advice would you give her in life?
I think probably to not be so hard on myself. I really wanted to strive for grades in school and just I remember my mother always saying, just stop studying. It's okay to get a C or a B. And again, if you kind of have this driven for perfection type of mentality, you want to do right by everything. And I would have danced more and studied less.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's beautiful.
When dancers think, should I go to college? College isn't that necessary. I did the whole route in college, and it's not that necessary. If you have a calling, just do it, whatever it happens to be. Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful, because again, that doesn't just apply to ballet. That doesn't just apply to entrepreneurship. It applies to life. If we are strangled by an illusion of perfection, it stifles our creativity. It stifles our life, right? It's an important lesson that we can all learn, is to be more graceful to ourselves and to be more gentle, to enjoy the progress and the process, and to not be so concerned about, because you can't even, there's nothing perfect really.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to search or chase something that's not even possible, right? So you would be a little more grace-filled, dance a little more, and just enjoy the journey.
Yeah, study less, but not read less, but just study less in subjects you're really not that interested in. Life is very short, as we all know. So, it's very short, but it is.
Yeah, it feels long some days. But it is. In hindsight, life is quite short, and it goes by very quickly.
It does.
So I know your son, and you love your son. Would you like to tell everybody who your son is?
Oh, well, my son is a professional tap dancer in New York, lives in New York. He's actually, at this moment, we're in rehearsal for the Gene Kelly role in American in Paris, Jerry Mulligan. Wow. So he's checking off his dream roles. But when I started the studio, Luke was just running around the studio and antagonizing the pianist who was playing him a ballet class. So she'd run through the ballet class and slide. And it was interesting because he loved baseball too, and he loved tap dancing. But when he was a junior in high school, he said, "Mom, I'm he's so sweet. I'm at a crossroads." A junior in high school, I'm at a crossroads in my life, Mom. I was like, "Oh, okay." But he said, "I have to pick between baseball and tap dancing." He said, "I don't think I have the talent to make it as a professional ball player, but I just might make it as a tap dancer." So he made that decision. He became committed, and he doesn't even go to the dentist without his tap shoes in his backpack. He lives and breathes tap dancing. Wow. It's just, that's his passion, and I'm so grateful that he's been able to pursue his career. It's really hard out there. There's so many talented young people out there who are not working, or they just give it up.
Yes.
But when the job's over, when the show's over, you're unemployed, and you have to look forward to that for the rest of your life, because shows end.
Yes.
Or you age out of the show. You can't be the same. But to be in the same show all the time, the same role, would be not creative either. To be in a Broadway show, the same role for 5 years, my son would hate that, because there's no growth in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a challenging life, but he's doing it, and I'm very proud of him.
That's so cool. Your son inspired me so much. So I knew Luke back when I went to ARC.
I heard.
Many, many years ago. He was friends with my friend Cody, and the way that they practiced, that inspired me so much. That's when I started growing in that growth mindset and learning that when you put your energy and your intention on something that you want to grow in, it's going to grow because you put the time, not because you wish it to happen.
Absolutely.
Right?
It takes work.
It takes work. And your son is he is one of the best dancers I have ever seen in my life, and that is a lot to say of how you brought him up and what the studio has done for him and in his life. I'm sure that has meant the world to him. And that's the thing with dance, you guys, is you don't ever have to be perfect at it. You can try it. If you love dancing, if you love entrepreneurship, if you love whatever it is that you love, we want to encourage you to do it, and to do it without feeling like you have to be perfect at it, and with the mindset that maybe things are going to go wrong from time to time, but with the wisdom that Deirdre has given us to just keep the faith, make sure you keep going through the journey and embracing the fact that you are on this big progress over perfection. Yeah. Well, I'm so happy that I was able to get insight from your life and all the things that you have gone through, all the ups and the downs, and I feel so blessed. I hope that our audience really resonated with the things that you said as well, and I'm really grateful to have had you on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm honored.
Bye-bye.
This has been a Libier podcast, a production of Libier.com. Some of the products and services mentioned are paid promotions. Any advice should be confirmed with a qualified professional on all matters. The opinions and ideas are for entertainment purposes only and belong to the Libier trademark. All rights reserved.